Coming up this week on Talk with Audrey, to help us separate food facts from fiction, cookbook author and influencer Kevin Curry of Fit Men Cook is working with the American Heart Association, and he sets a record straight on some common food myths. Prudential financial expert Shirley Robertson joins me to talk about why life insurance is crucial to a comprehensive financial plan and how it's one of the many tools that can help close the racial wealth gap in the U.S. And then U.S. Army veterans Danielle and Tracy Farrell from the Wounded Warriors Project have key findings from the 2023 Women Warriors Report, and we're also going to talk about how the initiative provides needed support and how you can help. Dr. Paul Mikulecky is the Chief Medical Officer of Carlon Health. We're going to talk today about the importance of preventative care and what we need to know about this year's flu season and those new COVID variants. It's all coming up this week on Talk with Audrey. Insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. I'll be right back. You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. There's an overload of food information out there that makes it difficult to know what's healthy. So what's the real scoop on carbs, and are dietary fats unhealthy, and eggs? Are they really the bad guys when it comes to cholesterol? Well, to help us separate food facts from fiction, cookbook author and influencer Kevin Curry of Fit Men Cook. He's working with the American Heart Association and joins me now to set the record straight. Welcome.
What's going on? How you doing?
Oh, it's good. I'm really looking forward to talking with you about eggs. You have no idea. But let's start out with why there's so much conflicting information out there about food in general.
Yeah, I mean, the internet is out there, and so is, social media. So everyone is sharing their thoughts and opinions, and that causes a lot of confusion and even sometimes fear. And so that's why it's so important that we are following science-based organizations like the American Heart Association to help us to cut through all of that noise.
Let's talk about some of those myths, especially carbs and fat. What's good and what's bad, and quite honestly, what's up?
Yes. One of the biggest ones that I've seen over the past 5 years is this war on carbohydrates. People are scared of carbs, and carbs taste so good, right? But they can be part of a heart-healthy diet, but there are different types of carbs. There are the complex carbs, and then there are the simple carbs. The complex carbs are the ones that you're going to want to eat a lot more of. Those are the ones that are going to be like your whole grains, legumes, and beans, and starchy veggies. They're going to make us feel fuller much longer, so that way we're not doing what? Mindlessly eating, throughout the day. Whereas the simple carbs, Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas is coming up, the cakes, the sweets, the brownies, and things like that. Limit those as part of your regular diet.
Oh, so those are luxuries.
Yes, exactly. Those are treats, as I like to call them. I mean, because I still eat them, I still enjoy them, right? But they're not part of my regular diet.
Okay, I'll go with occasionally. It's good. But I love carbs. I mean, who doesn't? So let's talk about fat.
Yeah, so there are different types of fats out there, and that's kind of what we're talking about today too. With eggs, people have been scared about eggs because they kind of got lumped in there with this idea that fats are bad for you. But there are different types of fats, right? There are the dietary fats that are actually good, right? So there are things like nuts and seeds and avocado that can actually enrich our diet and also help to lower our bad cholesterol. Now, eggs, we have known for quite some time, do not negatively impact one's cholesterol, so they can be eaten. But people are scared of fats because they think that all fats are the same. The fats we're talking about are the trans fats, the saturated fats. So the fried foods, the State Fair of Texas, is coming up, and we have fried everything. We got fried butter, fried guac, fried bubble gum. Those are the things that you want to kind of limit in your diet in terms of the fats.
Well, hello. When it comes to eggs, I like eggs in the morning. They're my favorite go-to for breakfast. So I'd always thought, and I'd also been warned by people, that eating them could increase my cholesterol. So does it or doesn't it have an impact?
No, we've known now for quite some time that eggs do not negatively impact one's cholesterol. And so they are safe to eat, and the entire egg, not just the egg white, but just the egg yolk. In fact, much more of the nutrients are actually in the egg yolk. You got things like choline, which is good for your brain health to help you function. So we need eggs, and so they can be part of a heart healthy diet.
Well, it's good to know that you can have both the egg yolk and the white, because separating the two just never made sense to me. And I mean, why are you just eating the egg white? Just eat the whole doggone thing.
Eat the whole darn egg, and going back and forth and trying to do that. Oh my goodness, just eat the egg.
Exactly, enjoy it. So when it comes to food prepping, I know that people are trying to save time and eat healthy. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, meal prep saved my life. I love meal prepping. That's what actually got me started in this journey. It taught me a lot about the caloric value of food, and it really helped me to crack the code for what works for me. And when you crack that code, your body can begin to change in the ways that you actually want it to. Also, reading the labels. I would be in the grocery store reading stuff that I was about to buy, and I'm like, I can't pronounce half of the words on here. These names are super long. And to let me know, hey, Kev, you're eating a lot more processed and a lot more science. So why don't you eat a lot more whole foods? And so by doing that, I was teaching myself how to eat for me. And as I said before, we got to follow science-based organizations like the AHA. In fact, if you go to heart.org/eat smart, tons of tips and tricks, plus some bomb recipes. In fact, one of my favorites, these egg muffins. These are so darn good. They're really simple. Just literally getting a muffin tray, adding in some veggies. You can put cheese in there too, and the egg, and boom, they come out like this. They are so good. They are great grab and go. If you got kids that, from school and they're like, Mom, I'm hungry, eat an egg muffin in the meantime while you make dinner. So these are a great option for people.
All right, yeah, I know. Portion control's another thing. Me, I'd probably want 2.
Yeah, I'm like that person when it's oh, it's only 100 calories. I eat 4 of them. Well, that defeats the whole purpose. But these are great for portion control. You're right.
All right, wow. Well, thanks for the tips and the info. Give us that website again so that we can go for some more information and start eating healthy.
Sure, it's heart.org/eat smart.
Kevin Curry, cookbook author and influencer, has been my guest. Check out that website and let's start eating smart and staying healthier longer. I mean, none of us are getting any younger, but Kevin, you're looking great.
Ain't that the truth? Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. Life insurance can help create wealth for the next generation and change the trajectory of a family's future. Yet most Black Americans only purchase life insurance to cover final life expenses, such as funeral and burial costs. My guest today is Prudential financial expert Shirley Robertson, and we're going to talk about why life insurance is crucial to a comprehensive financial plan and how it's one of the many tools that can help close the racial wealth gap in the U.S. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Shirley, how can life insurance help close that racial wealth gap in the U.S.?
So, some statistics show that 41% of individuals either have no insurance or don't have enough. And, my 30 years of being in the financial services industry, what I've seen is that most folks don't realize that life insurance is a key part of the overall plan. So here's a question I ask. If anyone depends on you today, would anyone suffer financially due to your death? And if your answer to that question is yes, then you absolutely need life insurance. So think of that single parent having young children, or you are taking care of aging parents financially, or you want to make sure that if you have a business, your business continues, or here's more realistic, you're in a relationship where you make more than your partner. Let's make sure that we have life insurance to protect each other. Yet folks spend more time insuring their cars, insuring their homes, insuring their cell phones than they do insuring themselves.
Good points. What types of policies are available?
Absolutely. So there are a myriad of types of life insurance policies. There's term insurance, whole life insurance, index policies, but that's where consumers get a bit overwhelmed. And so that's where I try and create that clarity. So that's when we have the one-on-one conversation. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed by the types of policies. When we have our one-on-one conversation, I can look through your current scenario. What's your budget like? What's your overall financial needs? How much coverage insurance, how much life insurance is going to make an impact for your family? That's the focus that we need to do. So not the type, but let's focus on how much you can consistently afford per month, as well as the coverage amount. That's the most important part of the conversation.
And at what age should someone consider purchasing life insurance?
Young, old, the time is now. Let's get some life insurance today. Because as I asked you earlier, if somebody were to be impacted financially due to your death, you need life insurance. And so if your answer is yes, then young or old, we need to get life insurance. So now we once again look at the budget. Let's find the dollar amount, but also too, what employer plans do you have? Let's make sure we are enrolling through our employer plans to get as much coverage through there. And then outside the employer, we can add additional life insurance coverage.
So your beneficiaries could use some of the life insurance that you purchased to take care of your final expenses, and there'd be some cushion left over to help them move forward in their life, perhaps buy a house, put money in the bank.
Absolutely. Yes. So let's talk through that piece of it. So life insurance has evolved over the years. So yes, it absolutely is a death benefit, but life insurance also has living benefits. And I'll use myself as an example there, where my policies have a layering effect. So the first layer of coverage, say if I'm ever terminally ill, if I'm confined to a nursing home, or if I have a critical illness, the death benefit is paid to me now while I'm alive. The next layer of coverage says that if anything were to happen to me as the key person of my company, dollars will be paid to my partner to keep my company going. The next layer of my protection says that if anything happens to me when I pass away, that money moves into my trust, and my trustee is going to follow my instructions from my documents to make sure that my beneficiaries get the dollars exactly the way I want them to get it. So I'm controlling that money from the grave. And then the living part of the policy is the cash value part of the policy. And that cash value allows you to access money today from your life insurance, tax-free money. So I can take those dollars today, or I can wait till later on in my retirement. So yes, life insurance is no longer just a death benefit. It has truly evolved over time to give you far more benefits living now, today.
And Shirley Ann, you mentioned a trust, which is another piece of that pie, that puzzle, that I don't think that we think about. A lot of estates end up going to probate and what have you, but it really is about creating that overall financial plan that includes life insurance that also includes a trust.
Yes, and I'm so glad you allowed me to elaborate on that. The trust is that new way that you can really create more control. So I have very specific instructions. So my niece and nephews are part of my beneficiary structure. My charity is part of my beneficiary structure. So I'm now creating the opportunity where, based on how my niece and nephew behave, determines how much money they get. Otherwise, it gets defaulted to the charities that I'm a part of. So you are in control from the grave when you have that life insurance trust.
Whew, so much to think about, but oh, so worth it. And quite honestly, especially when it comes to creating wealth, where can we go for more information?
So yes, it is a lot to think about, and that's why I really recommend that you have the conversation with me. Go to www.prudential.com, and that way you can find me as well as my other colleagues. And also, too, you can go through and see some of the financial calculators that we have that really provide some financial clarity for you, so that when we do have the conversation, you're already one step ahead of the game. But it is necessary. www.prudential.com. Find me so we can have that confidential financial conversation.
All right, everyone. Obviously can't take it with you, but you can control it, like Shirley said, from the grave. Hello. And help create that generational wealth. Shirley Ann Robertson's been my guest. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. I'll be right back. According to the U.S. Veterans Affairs Department, nearly 1 out of every 5 veterans will be women by 2040. That's about 18% of veterans, and women also represent the fastest growing population in the military and veteran communities. The Wounded Warrior Project recognized the need to address their unique challenges. And joining me today, U.S. Army veterans Danielle Green and Tracy Farrell from the Wounded Warriors Project. They have some key findings from their 2023 Women Warriors Report. And we're also going to talk about how the initiative provides needed support and how you can help. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you both for joining me. This is a really important initiative. Let me start with you, Tracy. Tell us more about the Women's Warriors Initiative, when and why it was created.
Sure, thanks, Audrey. So, Women Warriors Initiative, specifically the report that we have some findings to talk about today, is the consolidation and the communication of over 5,000 survey responses and some qualitative information that we've gotten through roundtables. And really what it is a report that highlights some of the issues that women are facing after they transition from military service, but it also gives recommendations in the form of legislative reform or programming or even research. And so in that way, it really is a unique document that enables us to share not only what Wounded Warrior Project does, but what others can do with regards to women veterans.
Danielle, you're a wounded warrior. What sorts of challenges did you face after leaving military service?
So 18 years ago, I transitioned from military life to civilian life. I'm also an arm amputee, which I lost my arm in Baghdad, Iraq. And my challenges were unique because I had to seek out prosthetic care. So I had challenges with access to care, my military transition to the civilian world, but Wounded Warrior Project has always been there to advocate for me and others, and they looked at warriors in a holistic fashion. So this initiative is so imperative so women warriors don't have to struggle or fall through the cracks.
Well, Tracy, some of the challenges for women are going to be different from those that men face. What are some of the key takeaways from this Women's Warriors report that are specifically applicable to women?
Sure. So I'm going to highlight two in particular that are specific to women. One is that women warriors are financially worse off than male warriors are. And this may be due to finding a job or their whatever's in their bank account or homelessness, but we really see a disparity between the women and male warriors with regards to economic opportunity. And then the second area is, although the VA has done an amazing job in recent years of increasing access to health care, and specifically women's health care, there still is a long way to go, specifically in our rural communities, in not only having that health care available, understanding what the specific needs of women are, but then for women, accessing that care.
And accessing that care is really important. Tracy, did you have challenges accessing care? And I'm also sure that both of you have had conversations with other women warriors and their challenges.
Yes, and I think, while COVID was a challenge for all of us, the adoption of telehealth has really done well by women warriors. More often than not, when a woman warrior is offered the opportunity of telehealth, vice going to a clinic in person, they will choose that telehealth experience. One, because they can do it from their home. They don't have to worry about transportation. They don't have to worry about childcare. But the other is just that it's actually more comfortable in your home for many people, if they're especially if they're talking about mental health challenges, or it's just need a quick refill on a prescription. So that is one way in which the VA and all of America has learned coming out of COVID, is that we need to expand that opportunity across the board.
So many women have served our country. What can we do as individuals to help make things better?
Audrey, viewers can go to woundedwarriorproject.org. That's woundedwarriorproject.org to find out about our wonderful programs and read more about our initiatives and our recommendations.
My guests have been Danielle Green. She's a U.S. Army veteran, warrior spokesperson, and wounded warrior, and Tracy Farrell, U.S. Army veteran, Vice President, Program Partnerships and Operations, Vice President for Wounded Warrior Project. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you very, very much for your service.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Audrey.
I'll be right back. You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Immunizations aren't just for children going back to school. Healthy older adults, especially those with complex or chronic health conditions, should make immunizations part of their preventive care routine to protect their health. My guest today is Dr. Paul Mikulecky. He's the Chief Medical Officer of Carelon Health. We're going to talk today about the importance of preventative care and what we need to know about this year's flu season and those new COVID variants. Good morning.
Good morning, Audrey. Thank you for having me this morning.
It's my absolute pleasure. So, I can't believe it's that time of the year already. Why is it important that people get their flu shots? And of course, do we need one every single year?
That's a great question, Audrey. And the flu is very contagious. And even if you have a strong immune system, you never know how the flu is going to impact you. Even if you have a good immune response, the flu virus can lead to days of work lost as well as school days lost. But even more importantly, in our more vulnerable patients or more vulnerable family members or friends, it can lead to more serious complications such as pneumonia and a worsening of underlying medical conditions that can result in hospitalizations and even death. Subsequently, we want to get a yearly vaccine because the latest vaccines will have the different strains or the latest up-to-date strains to help our body's immune system rev up and protect against the latest viruses that are out there. So a yearly vaccine is the best way to protect not only ourselves, but also our friends and family and community around us.
So it's important, especially if someone has a chronic illness, that they get that flu vaccine.
You are correct. The flu does mutate, and there are different strains that come out. The CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, are continually monitoring, informing the different vaccine manufacturers the latest strain. Subsequently, the vaccines that you receive every year are going to have the best up-to-date information that allows us to protect ourselves and our loved ones against the latest flu strains.
So let me ask another question that I'm sure everybody's probably wondering about. Can the flu shot cause the flu?
It cannot. The flu vaccine is not a live virus. However, you may experience some of your body's immune response to the vaccine, and that can include fevers, some muscle aches, some joint aches, headache, nausea. These are typically self-limited over the course of a day or two, and oftentimes better with over-the-counter medications like Tylenol or ibuprofen, but you cannot contract the flu from the virus or from the vaccine.
How can you tell the difference between the flu and COVID?
That can be tough because they both cause fever as well as some of the general muscle aches and body aches that are common with viruses. Oftentimes, the best thing to do is get tested by your clinician's office for the flu or for COVID. There are self-testing kits, and even with the different strains of COVID, the COVID testing as well as treatments are equally efficacious. So they do work. However, we want to protect others around you. So if you do go into your physician's office, we recommend wearing a mask going into the office to protect those in the office while you get evaluated and treated.
And for those people who are also getting a COVID vaccine, is it safe to get the flu and the COVID vaccine at the same time?
It is. Looking into this, the Department of Health and Human Services did find that there were no safety concerns when receiving both vaccines. And we all know that schedules can be busy. So if you have the chance to get both, we recommend doing both at the same time.
Well, when is the best time to get the flu vaccine?
We do recommend it early in order to provide the best protection. I think we're seeing increased COVID cases coming out as people are going back to school and as people are working back in the office and coming together after the summer. We are anticipating the flu vaccine to come out in the next week or two. And similarly with the COVID vaccine, the latest up to date in the next, I think within the next month, probably the next couple of weeks. So kind of keeping track on that, and would recommend reaching out to your clinician's office to see when they're getting that in. But the sooner we can protect ourselves and our loved ones, the better.
I hear that. We do not want a repeat of COVID or bad cases of the flu. So guys, what we want you to do is stay healthy. And as always, check with your healthcare provider. My guest has been Dr. Paul Mikulecky. He's the Chief Medical Officer of Carelon Health. We've been talking about the importance of preventative care and, of course, information about this year's flu season and those new COVID variants. Dr. Mikulecky, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure, Audrey. Thank you for having me. And for additional information, patients or your audience can go out to caremore.com/flu, where we have more up-to-date information available.
And that's it for this week's show. I'm Audrey Adams. Join me here next week for more insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. It's all about the business of living. I'll see you next week.